Let's jump into selling life insurance. Agents come into this business on a monthly basis. A lot of recruiting going on. It is possible to make money in life insurance. You have to understand when you come into the business, the goal of the vast majority of the recruiters is really not going to be that you should succeed. It's to use you, whether to be to buy fake leads or use you as a lead source. I've dealt with tens of thousands. This is not exaggeration. Tens of thousands of licensed insurance agents coming into this business. The prevalent issue is if you're being recruited, there's a decent chance you're not suitable for the business and you're just being used. You're being abused. There is legal recourse to that, which I have become an expert at. But let's jump into if you want a fighting chance to succeed. There's a formula that you could use, which is good for life insurance. It'll be good for other products as well, but particularly for life insurance, I'll jump into the sticks. It's a great idea to realize your current situation as a new insurance agent. There's 220,000 people becoming agents every year. There's not much need for that many agents. The vast majority of people are wasting their time. The recruiter knows you're wasting your time, so they're trying to take advantage of you before you move on. Let's get straight into if you have a desire to succeed. Realize what's going on. So what you're being told by your recruiter, by your lead seller, by your upline is most likely a bunch of hogwash. It's going to come down to 3 basic bullet points. Number 1 bullet point, you really have to be an expert at the product. That's going to include your product, your industry, your competitors, and what's going through your client's head. If you decide that this is above your pay grade to say, hey, how can I ever figure out what's going through my client's head? That is majorly problematic. If you say you don't want to be an expert at the product you're selling, find something you're good at. There are competitors doing this, selling a similar product to what you're selling. You should know everything about those competitors. The vast majority of new insurance agents will not do these bullet points, which I've just mentioned. So that's really why the recruiters and the MLMs will be trying to take advantage of you because they know you're not going to succeed. If I'm talking above your head, above your pay grade, again, find something you're good at. Long haul truckers do make money. Your competitor's product, your industry. Being an expert at your industry is not very difficult. I could give you the basics. The number 1 attribute of life insurance is tax deferred than tax-free income. A person, when they buy a life insurance policy, they are able to overfund it. That money will be growing on a tax deferred basis. At a certain point in time, the client may say, hey, I would like to get tax-free income, tax-free with no limitations based on borrowing against the cash value. And that's really what insurance agents get paid to sell. If you look at the rates of a 20-year term for a 35-year-old male non-smoker, it's not that expensive. It could be $25, $30 a month. You cannot make a living selling that type of policy. You cannot visit people's houses. You cannot buy leads based on selling that type of policy, but you can make a decent chunk of change if you understand how the insurance industry works, and your job is really to sell a tax-deferred than tax-free income on a forced savings program. So that's understanding the industry. If you go into some sort of MLM or recruiting situation where from the get-go they want you to buy leads or give over the names of your family members so the upline could sell policies, they're not really letting you know how the real insurance industry works, which is tax-deferred, tax-free income. It's a forced savings program. That's really the basics of life insurance. Whatever you're selling, understand it completely, whether it be Medicare, health insurance, final expense. Literally be an expert. To give yourself a test. Speak to experienced insurance agents. Ask them those basic questions about the bullet points of the industry, bullet points of the product, bullet points of your competitors. What's going through your client's head. The experienced agent, someone who's been in the business a couple of years, who's making money, they know what I know. It could be that the person who recruited you, they're trying to swindle you, to scam you. They're not letting you know the real industry. At a certain point in time, you realize that the MLM structure of the life insurance industry is prevalent for new agents. It's not a good deal if you're a downline of a downline of a downline. So definitely do the research before you invest any money. Do the research before you make any selling. Just being a little bit on the intelligent side and making a couple of phone calls, you could get a top-level commission from day one. I'm a big fan of mutual insurance companies where the salesperson tells the clients the insurance company is non-profit. The policy owners own the company. When the profits are, it goes into the policy in the form of dividends, and that's specifically for whole life policies used for retirement planning purposes. And that's really how insurance agents make money, by selling those type of policies where the average premium is between $500 and $700 per month. And if you're at a decent commission level with a reputable insurance company, you're getting 100%. So you've just made on one sale $6,000-$7,000, which is definitely a way to make a living. Those type of policies are based on relationships. You don't get $7,000 sale from someone based on buying a lead or based on buying data. Considering that the majority of people who come into this business from an exceptionally easy test, they don't do a formal complaint, they don't do formal lawsuits, they don't know about business opportunity sales law. These are people that are exceptionally easy to scam. They never complain. You're in that group of people who are definitely defined as very scammable. The people bringing you in are really just trying to sell you something. We could fast forward to getting in front of people. Analyze who's making money. Companies that have been in business for 100 years, New York Life, Mass Mutual, Northwest Mutual, they have a very strict recruiting process. They'll generally bring on board 30-40% of the people who apply. They start people off at really low commission levels, let's say 50%, and you can move your way up. You're coming in as somewhat of an employee. It is possible to get double amount of money if you're contracted directly by the insurance company. The ones that have these YouTube videos and YouTube playlists, they're all over the place doing emails and SMS marketing. These are the companies that have terrible deals. They have to go through a lot of people to bring in revenue for the recruiter, and the recruiter is either making money on the leads, selling these new agents, or using them for the list of their family members to sell insurance to. Let's analyze the companies that have historically been doing well. When you come into their system, they have you write out a list of 200 of your favorite people, and you start approaching these 200 people after you become expert at the products, which does not take 1, 2, or 3 days. The telltale sign is when you feel comfortable showing illustrations on these $500 to $700 type policies, whether it be index universal life or retirement planning whole life policies, when you could flip from term to whole life to IUL. When you see these trainers saying, hey, we'll train you how to sell life insurance, it's really up to you going into the software of the company, feeling comfortable in making an illustration. When that occurs, you're ready to sell. So please do not spend any money on any sort of lead generation until you're really, really good on the policy and presenting the policy. Save your money, get good at the skill set of what that is, and then you could even think about spending a nickel on lead generation. Again, I would go with the technique of New York Life and Mass Mutual, where you write out a list of 200 of your favorite people. You make presentations to those 200 people. You become exceptionally good at collecting referrals. You're offering products that are actually favorable to the consumer based on these being a mutual insurance company, and you end up with a couple of sales. And when the average sale is $7,000, that's real money. And you have not spent a nickel on lead generation. For every one person you see, you get one referral, and you could actually make a living. We're talking about lead generation. There's another lead generation technique called incentive-based marketing, where you give someone something that causes them to like you. I know on Final Expense, it's very popular to give free last will and testament, or expertise on tombstones and caskets, getting them delivered online, knowing the prices, knowing the difference between what the local funeral home is charging and what you could get it online delivered the next day. But when it comes to a retirement planning life insurance, the bigger policies where you actually can make a living, a lot of success with offering something to people that make over $100,000 a year, specifically building trade professionals, let's say business owners. There's a company out there that offers high quality websites where you could offer unlimited website. They charge $12, $13 a month, and you get half the revenue, which is definitely a skill set of setting up these websites for business owners. The one company that I'm thinking about, they have a video at the header. So really the skill set is telling the plumber or the electrician to stand in front of his van, carry your toolbox. I'm taking your video. You cut that video down to 15 seconds, minimize the video, write up a website, which takes about 5 or 10 minutes, a couple of paragraphs describing what this person does. An insurance agent is really perceived as being a marketing whiz kid. If a building trade professional believes you're a marketing whiz person, that's a definite way to get in front of people based on the concept of incentive-based marketing. I suppose in other products such as Medicare, one would realize that the person that is the trusted professional is the doctor's office. So if you could set up some sort of goodwill with doctors or doctor office managers, that's a good place to be, especially if you live in a city that there's medical arts buildings where all the doctors are in one place. Literally, you could walk down the aisle of the medical arts building and start handing out candies and business cards. Inevitably, you'll have these office managers that will like you. If you claim to be an expert at the various Medicare supplement, Medicare Advantage policies, people will want to be your friends. Definitely always be thinking thinking about what you could give to people so you could supplement that with your friends and family and getting good at collecting referrals. The big scam for new insurance agents in particular is selling leads. If you're convinced buying leads or data is the way to go, realize that the people you're dealing with are not rocket scientists. So whatever they're doing, you should do. If someone says, hey, I'm incredibly good at Facebook leads, I want to buy these leads at $5, $10, $20 and they're exclusive, realize if they're dealing with new insurance agents, they're primarily dealing with gullible people. So you're grouped into that group of people that are relatively easy to scam. But if you're convinced that Facebook leads are the way to go, you've got two options. You can either go to Facebook itself, click at the top right, open up your own commercial account and start off at $1 or $2 a day. And from there, as you see good results, you can increase it. Concurrently, you could go to a outsourcing site such as such as Upwork.com. You could hire a professional who specializes in generating Facebook leads and they'll set up the account for you. Definitely do one of those two things because the most important thing on any sort of lead generation technique is control. If you outsource this huge part of the business to someone who specializes in recruiting gullible people, it's not going to work out well. If you're into live transfer leads, which are used by some people, realize these are Filipino and Pakistani call centers generating these leads. If you believe that's the way to go, there's a website out there called Outbounders.com where you could hire an individual in Philippines, let's say $5, $6, $7 an hour, hire them, get them the list, the technology is included at Outbounders.com, and from there you could definitely trust one person rather than in a company that you found online that specializes in gullible people. Again, it's one person you're hiring, not a company that specializes in gullible people. The most important aspect of leads is to be in control. There's no substitute to being in control. Whether you doing the advertising on Facebook, you hiring the telemarketer, it's probably a good idea to do the telemarketing yourself first. When you find out it's worthwhile, only at that point you hire a third person to continue, a person that you would be supervising. The third aspect of selling life insurance, or really any type of sales product, is you have to impress the world that you are an expert. As I mentioned on the Index Universal Life or the whole life policies, the same technique of incentive-based marketing where you come across as really professional with a website that looks really good. There are companies out there that specialize in insurance agent websites. The one that I'm thinking of will allow you to create multiple websites for as many non-insurance agents or insurance agents as you want, and they do have a revenue share. Let me wrap this up. It is possible to make money in the life insurance business, but you have to be proficient at showing illustrations. If you're not proficient at showing illustrations and creating illustrations, you definitely should find something you're good at. If you're not in control of the lead generation, if your mind is not working in that aspect that you have to be in control, definitely find something you're good at. At a certain point, you want to be perceived by the world as a professional, as an expert, and having a good website and dressing nice and having a nice car, whatever that takes. Whatever it takes to be perceived as a professional person, that's what you do. I'm pretty darn sure at New York Life, Mass Mutual, the people come into the office always with a tie and jacket. If you're in the northern climates, if you're in the south, a nice shirt and a tie. I've spent decades helping licensed insurance agents do well in this business. To my sorrow, the vast majority are wasting their time, but it is possible to make money in this business. It's completely dependent on you in following these bullet points that I've mentioned on this video.